Hello and welcome to this board game video where I will talk about this game called Suzume Jong. As of today, I don't think there's an English overview or video talking about this game on YouTube at all. So I'll give a quick overview of how it's played and the rules, and I'll let you know my thoughts at the end. This game was originally Japanese, and it recently got translated to Chinese, which is the version that I've got. And the best way that I can describe this game is that it's basically Rapid Mahjong. It caters to 2 to 5 players, and it only takes 30 minutes. So unlike normal Mahjong, that requires 4 people exactly, and the game could take hours. I've seen Mahjong played from the evening to the morning, and this game is different in the sense that, yeah, you could finish this game in literally 30 to 40 minutes. So let me show you what's inside and I'll give you more details. Okay, so I've opened the box, and this is basically the set of tiles that you've got in Suzume Jong. Now, as you can see, compared to normal Mahjong, there's a lot less tiles. Effectively, as you can see, there's only this sort of set of tiles called bamboo. Okay, there's this set of tiles from 1 to 9 times 3, and there's one extra set that's all in red. Separately, there's 2 extra tiles, okay, which we call wealth and middle in Chinese. But for the sake of this video, I'll just call them leaf and fire, okay? That's quite simple to remember. So there's 4 leaf, 4 fire tiles, and everything else is from 1 to 9 times 3 and 1 extra one in red. Okay, so the way that this game works is if you've got 2 to 5 players, you each draw 5 tiles. Obviously, all of these will be face down. You draw them face down. You each look at your hand that you've been dealt, and it's kind of like a deck builder where you basically take a tile from the middle. There's a middle. Anything that's not being taken as your starting hand is, face down. You take a tile, you look at it, try and build the best hand that you've got. And if you've basically got a hand that's worth 5 points, you've basically won. So to win, you have to have a combination of a straight or a triple, a straight and a straight, or a triple and a triple. So you do that by having 6 tiles, and you need a combination using those 6 tiles to basically create your 5 points. So I'll briefly explain the point system. The very basic one would be a simple straight. So out of all these tiles, 1 to 9, if you have a straight in any order, so for example, a 2, a 3, and a 4, that would be on its own worth 1 point. Okay, and then any triple combination, which is 3 of the same tile. So this is an 8. So you've got 1 8, 2 8s, and say, 3 8s. This on its own would be worth 2 points. So if you had a hand like this, this would be worth in total 3 points because you've got a straight and you've got a triple. So like I said though, the problem is for you to win a round, you have to have 5 points. So the only way that you can do that is to augment it with some additional rules. Well, there's some additional rules, and you have to augment your hand to build extra points. So the very basic way to get an extra point is with the red tiles that I mentioned earlier, all these in red. If you have anyone in red that gives you an extra point by itself. So for example, in this combination, if I had a three red, that would automatically give an extra point. And say if this was also a 8 red, let me try and find it. Here we go. 8 red, that would also give an extra point. So the hand that I've now got compared to before is I've got a straight, that's 1 point on its own. I've got a triple, that's 2 points on its own. Then you count the items in red. So this is in red and that's in red. So here you've got 3, then 4, and then 5. So in this hand, I've now got 5 points. And if I have this, I can declare myself as a winner. So that's one way to get extra point. The next variable that could give you an extra point is every time this changes hand, the dealer. So every round you have a dealer. Once the sort of round's over, this gets passed along. There's one tile which gives an extra point. It's taken out of the rounds, but anyone with the same sort of number gets an extra point. So for example, if I was a dealer and at the beginning I chose this 4, that means any of the players in the game that has a 4 would automatically get another point. So that applies to the red 4 as well. Okay, so in this combination, like I said earlier, you've got a straight, you've got a triple, so that by itself is worth 3. Then you add the reds, so 4, 5. But because this is also a 4, that gives an extra point as well. So that gives 6 points in this combination. So the next one that gives extra points is if you have a hand which consists of between 2 to 8 only. Okay, so here, conveniently, my hand is only consisting of tiles from 2 to 8. So that by its own as well gives an extra point. So in this case, like I said, if I'm going step by step, you've got a straight, you've got a triple, you've got 2 in red, you've got this extra one that gives an extra point. So that's 6. Then because it's 2 to 8 only, that's another point. So this is actually worth 7 points. Okay, I'm doing this in order, but yeah, when you have a hand, you basically combine all these together. Okay, the last one is a bit different. So the last one is if you have a winning hand or hand that has 1, 9, leaf or fire, then you would automatically get 2 extra points. So like I said, it's basically the opposite of this. If I had 1, 2, 3 and an 8, 7, 8, 9. Where's a 9? Here we go. No, it's here we go. 9. Yeah, I mean, I'm challenging everyone's brain power here, but effectively, this is 1 and 9, right? So that's an extra point. Then we go through everything in order, or I'll go through it in order. You got a straight, you got a triple. That's not a triple. So you got 2 straights now. So that'll be 1 point. That'll be 2 points. Then you count the reds. So 3, 4, 5. This doesn't count, okay, because we don't have a 4. But because we have at least we have 2 tiles that meets this criteria of having a 1, 2, either a 1, a 9, or a leaf and a fire. Having any 2 of those, it gives an extra 2 points. So in this case, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. So yeah, that is how that last rule works. Like I said, when we're all playing it, you don't have to go through this order, but for me, it's helpful to build your deck, count the number of reds, then look at the next one, see if that gives you points. Then look at the next criteria. If it's within 2 to 8, you get an extra point. And the last one, if you have at least 2 1s, 9s, or leaf and fire. Just bear in mind, if you're trying to build a leaf and fire tile into your hand, there's no way that you can do a straight with this. You have to have a triple, okay? So you have to have 3 leaves in order to have a winning hand. So, yep, that would sort of meet the criteria of this. I don't think you have too many fan, but that's one fan. That's what, sorry, you don't have too many points. You have 1 point here. You have 2 points here, so that's 3. You get an extra one here, 4, and then 2 more, so you got 6. And yeah, that's basically it. You've got some special hands if you're really lucky. So if you manage to build a winning hand with just greens, so that doesn't mean any 1s or 7s, anything with red in them. If you have a winning hand with just greens, all greens, then you automatically get 10 points, which is pretty good. The next one is a bit easier, I think. If you manage to get a winning hand with just 1, 9, leaf and fire. So it's fairly similar to this rule that I just mentioned about the 1, 9, leaf and fire. But this time you have to have triples. So you basically need 2 pairs of triples of this sort of combination. So if you have, 3 leaves, 3 fires, then that would automatically give you 15 points. The last one is if you're really lucky and you manage to build an entire hand somehow of just red tiles. That includes these ones, just red tiles. So, I mean, you could actually have, oh no, you can't do that. So you need to have a straight, really, 6, 7 and 8, and then triple fire. That will automatically give you 20 points, and that's the maximum amount of points that you can get. There's a special rule where if you're the dealer, the payout, you get an extra 2 money, but yeah, that doesn't count as part of the points. The other rule I need to mention is, unlike normal Mahjong or Mahjong, Hong Kong Mahjong, Chinese Mahjong that you're used to, is you can take tiles from other people's discards. In this version of the game, you can only take a tile, if you're waiting on that tile to have a winning hand. So if you're missing like 1 tile and someone discards this, unless that's your winning hand, that makes a winning hand, you cannot take that from the person who threw this out. You can only take it if it completes your winning hand. Someone's discard could in fact cause 2 people to win at the same time, in which the person that discarded will have to pay out to both people. In this rule, basically the person that discarded the last tile that completes someone's hand, they need to pay the number of points. In terms of Richie sticks, they need to pay the winner, okay? If you self-draw a tile from the middle, then everyone needs to pay you the amount of points divided by the amount of people playing. So if I scored 6 points and there's 2 other people playing, then each player needs to play 3 points, basically. Okay. Are there any other rules that I need to think about? No, I think that is basically the gist of the rules. Like I said, the dealer goes round in a clockwise. If you win or lose a round, you don't keep this. So this will always go to the next player after each round, regardless if you win or lose, okay? And the game would technically end once one player has been the dealer 4 times. That's the tracker for the game length. So that's how the game would end, which is, I think, based on sort of the Japanese, Hong Kong, Chinese sort of original Mahjong sort of rules. That's basically it. So that was the brief overview of the game. I can make another video in more detail explaining the more in-depth rules and the point system at a later time if people are interested. But I guess you want to know my thoughts. I would say this is one of the best games of Mahjong that I have played. The best variant of Mahjong that I've come across. I would call this Rapid Mahjong is the best way I can describe this. It basically removes a lot of the fluff from normal Mahjong. So in normal Mahjong, you've pretty much got 200% times the amount of tiles that you can see here. There's basically two other types of tiles. So you've got numbers and dots, okay? And, you know, you got another sort of two pairs of special tiles. It condenses everything about Mahjong into one type of pattern of tiles. And it still keeps the Mahjong vibe, the vibe of waiting for a win. In Mahjong, there's a lot of fluff where you're just taking tiles, discarding, and sometimes you don't even have a chance to get to a winning hand. In this game, as soon as you draw your starting hand, you can kind of see a pattern and you could be fairly close to winning the round. I've had a game where I've basically won the round in the second person that discarded. And the feeling from that is of luck. Obviously, there's a bit of element of luck involved in Mahjong, in the original and in this version. But when you do get a hand that is so amazing, you feel, wow, I'm going to win the lottery. You know what I'm saying? So it keeps that vibe. But even if, that's actually quite rare to get a close to winning hand in the first 5 tiles that you draw. Even if you don't have that, in 99% of the cases, it's a hand that, you know, you're not going to win straight away. There's a lot of deep thought, sort of deck building thinking involved. You've got a hand, it's not gonna quite there with the 5 points. You're missing a few tiles, and you're trying to think what's the best way that you can build a combination that gets the 5 points or more if you're going for broke. And I think for a game, one round could last, I think, a few minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes. I think a game that replicates this is not something I've seen before. This is a very well thought out game that basically simplifies Mahjong. And I think it caters a lot to the board game enthusiast crowd because you don't need to learn a lot of heavy rules. It's kind of like a filler. Like I said, 2 to 5 people can play this game, which is very rare. In Mahjong, you need to have 4 people. This is a game when the first time I played it, like I said, it was with the 3 of us. I was thinking, how can you play this game with just 3 people? And I was just blown away when it started clicking. You know, the 3 of us, we can play a lot of cards, a lot of tiles, and, you know, get a lot of changes in trying to change your strategy to get a winning hand. And this is the next big thing, I would say, to hit the Asian sort of market. It's already really popular in Japan. It's sold out, and that's why there's a Chinese translation for this. And I have to say, it's very underrated. I would highly recommend it. If you have a chance to play this, definitely give it a try. And yeah, you will be blown away by how addictive this game is for the amount of tiles and simplified rules there are. Thank you very much for watching. Highly recommended. Give this game a try.